I think, yes, we need to stop the radical agenda. We need to speak up, there's no question about it. But we really need to get our act together in the church. Okay? The homosexual community is not going to change because we tell them they're naughty or sinful. They're not. But what about the closet homosexuals in the church? There's a lot of it. And it's so rampant in the black community, they actually have a name for it, called the down low. You know, it's not widely known, but in the black community it's known. And what about all the immorality in the church? What about the sexual brokenness? Where most people are sexually broken in some way, either currently or in the past, which makes people not want to condemn others. Or about the secret sin. You know, if I judge, then God's going to judge me. What about the people who are, you know, the only ones that want to come out of homosexuality are the ones that have some connection to God somehow. They were raised in it, they're trying to live for God, they really want to change. Now, of course, the gay community is doing everything they can to even try to say that people can't change, it's illegal to change. It's really scary what's happening with our freedom. But you know what? We can, one by one, walk people through it.
That's right.
Give them deliverance,
Right.
help them walk in a new way, have a standard of righteousness in our own churches. We can get away from, you know, one of the 8 issues that we face is the nominalism in the church, where people they're Christians in name only, but they're not really disciples, they don't really follow Jesus. We need to get our act together. We really need to get our act together. Now, before I take some questions, I want to suggest a strategy that I think that you have the ability to do something that will impact this entire nation right here from Nashville. And that is get behind Larry Tomzak and this video that he's done called Is Gay Okay? And we had a bite to eat right before, and I challenged him with a strategy. And he said, why don't you share this? Is that okay?
Yeah. This was you. I didn't. He's not here tonight
He is
because I told him.
this guy is so humble.
Well, I just want everybody thinking, and I put you up, but you talked to Mike Brown. Go ahead.
I talked to Mike Brown today about this. And the thing is, we need to get the word out about this. Here's the situation. The other side is so nasty. They go into Catholic churches and throw urine on people during Mass. They throw condoms and it intimidates nice God-fearing people. You don't want to be the next target of these things. The people that oppose Proposition 8 now out in California, Chick-fil-A, you know, they spray paint their place. I mean, who wants to be out there at the end of a rope, hanging with the rope around your neck all by yourself? I mean, this is just part of human nature. And but there's a lot of people, you know, we feel like we're all alone in this battle, but there's a lot of people that have not bowed their knee to Baal.
That's right. That's
You
right.
remember Elijah? He thought he was the only one. And weren't there 7,000? But what happens is people need to see that somebody is leading the way, and that it's okay to stand and make a stand. And so I say, Larry, you need to get a bunch of churches together, have a venue, announce it, realize that there's probably going to be controversy. There may even be people there. Now, I know in our state there's actually laws about disrupting religious meetings. You know, if someone was to come into a disrupted church service, you know, the authorities can actually kind of haul them off. You know what I'm saying? I'm guessing that you have somewhat similar laws here in Tennessee. So you know what? The law's going to protect you. You have a screening, and then we do a big story about how this video, and the background on the video, and what it says, was screened in Nashville, and all these people came together, and it's starting the movement around the country. I said, you need to get 10 or 20 key churches around the country who will have screenings, okay, invite other churches in, get churches to show it. You know, it handles it very, very diplomatically. It is not hate mongering, but it says this is what the Bible says, and this is what we believe, and we are not going to be intimidated, and we're going to state it.
Yes, that's right.
And I think that you could get a movement started. You know, people are waiting for someone to stand up and say, this is the way to go.
Sure, that's right.
And the thing is that, you know what they say, this is a philosophical question of it, if you cut down a tree and it falls to the ground, or let's say that a tree just tumbles to the ground in the forest and no one's around, did it make any noise? That's a philosophical question, you know, that make noises, sound waves, but if there's nobody ear is there to have the sound waves, is there noise or not? So we have to ask ourselves sometimes, in a somewhat similar way, if we do something, if we do a video, if nobody's paying any attention, you know, did we really do anything? So I think that we need to get going, and you guys have the ability to do it. Remember the song they used to sing at youth camp, it only takes a spark? Get a fire going, right? So, I'm sorry that you didn't have a better speaker tonight. I will answer a few questions if you like, or maybe Larry has some questions.
No? Question? Yeah. Water? There it is.
Water briefing. Oh, is it my water?
Yeah, there's water. Yeah. Have a seat, man. I've enjoyed it. I've never done this.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What's your take on Ben Carson?
I think he's wonderful.
Love to see him there.
I'm sorry?
I would love to see him in charge.
Yes. But he has not, he has had no political office, and there is a maturing and a nurturing and a learning to fight the battles. Have we had any presidents at all that were never in politics? You know, of course, Obama was only a state senator. But
Eisenhower. That's some military.
yeah, Eisenhower. He would be great. Whether or not he could win would be a long shot.
You know, a lot of us in this room have a deep concern for the next generation, so generations in any area. I'm curious what, with your experience with charisma and what you guys are seeing, what's working with the next generation? What do you see? What churches or ministries are having successful transfer to the next generation? And is there any secrets that you've observed that they're doing?
Well, you need to go to Kansas City and see IHOP.
Come on.
And, yeah, and there's a lot of, go out to California and see what Bill Johnson's doing. And those young people are more sincere and more passionate, more turned on to God than our generation ever was. And, you know, my grandfather sat and told me one time he thought the whole country was going to be communist because of crazy hippies. You know, I mean, every generation always worries about the next generation. They have ever since Adam. You know, where his next generation, didn't they kill each other? You know, that if you study the trends, and someone like Fred Markert, if you know him from Wise Man, he does these big trends, and there's different generational things, and he is saying that the millennials are actually going to be more like the World War II generation, that there's been 2 generations in between, and they're going to end up like that. Now, what kind of world are we going to give them? You know? But I'm not really worried about the next generation.
Don't you think that a lot of the churches are afraid of ACLU
politically correct to this type of tax being, losing their tax exempt, what have you. I think that's what's kind of stopping them to come out and to say things that they really want to say. Maybe I'm wrong, but.
You know, you're probably right, but you know what? It is it's bogus.
Yes.
There is not one church in America that's lost their tax exempt status, and if they do, so what? I mean, do we give to get a tax exemption? Now, it's nice to have it, and we get a tax exemption on our mortgage, but, you know, not every country gets a tax exemption on their mortgage, and are you not gonna have a mortgage if you don't get a tax exemption? You know, you just figure something out. In Europe, they don't get tax exemptions for giving. A lot of countries, they don't. And if we have to be hat in hand, Mr. Government, would you please spare a dime? I mean, that's a pretty sorry state of affairs. I think they're probably more concerned about the culture and political correction is really a cultural issue, not a legal issue.
Yeah.
What people say or don't say. And it's really just another way to say extreme left-wing progressive worldview. You know, we call it political correctness for short, but it really doesn't have anything literally to do with politics.
Well, I know that for the last election, for our legacy group, you know, I made a comment about, the church did too, about, you know, being informed. Oh, you're going to vote for, et cetera, just like this, you know. And I know one of our leaders said, came pretty close. You know, and I didn't consider I was close. I mean,
No.
I wanted to be close.
I'm not a lawyer, but I've researched this, and I can tell you with authority that what the law prohibits is for the nonprofit to officially endorse. So that would be to say, you know, First Church of Nashville, or whatever the name of the church is, officially endorses John Smith to be governor. Okay? But even then, they want support cases to prove that that law should have never been done in the first place. And the first time you get slapped, your wrist slapped. But no church it had happened in 1954. Our friend Lyndon Baines Johnson was mad at some people in Texas.
That's right.
And they weren't even churches. It's a crazy law. But the pastor can get up and say, as your shepherd, I try to tell you how to live. And I try to give you my own experiences. And I want to be clear that the church is not endorsing anyone, but I'm going to vote for this person for these reasons, and they're scriptural and they're biblical. And not only that, but I think you should do it too. That is perfectly legal.
Good.
And really, you'd have to write it on stationery, you'd have to put a big sign up. You know, but you know what? Businesses can't endorse. I have a for-profit publishing house. We can't, the for-profit publishing house could not even contribute to like Huckabee's campaign. Businesses can't contribute. And I could do it personally. I could do it as freedom of the press. Our business is in a little bit different category because freedom of the press. But businesses can't. Johnson & Johnson can't endorse someone. Chick-fil-A can't endorse someone. Same thing for church.
You know, Steve, in the coming days, at NRB today, I saw, you know what, and I want to submit this to you just as a thought, since this is a rare opportunity. We've tried for the numbers of months we've met to always be faithful. We started 7 and 8, but would you feel comfortable if we gave ourselves an extra 15 minutes tonight because of Sue's presence? All right, if you gotta go, you go, but this is good. We'll get you, Matt Staver, who's head of Liberty Council, was over at NRB. I saw him today. I was giving him the copy of the video of this KOK, 10 things every Christian needs to know, every person needs to know. And he's given us 100 of these little booklets, Patriot's Handbook of Political Action for Pastors and Churches. And I'll bring these, and I got these from him so that we could just give it out, because you're exactly right. He has a DVD that he's sent out. It's called Take Back America. And he's the top of the whole Liberty Council. He says, without equivocation, there's never been a church that's lost their tax exemption. Never.